Okay, we're getting better. Let's try that one more time. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. There we go. It sounds like school. This afternoon, we have a very special program. The children and older children have been working very hard on a presentation, so we're really looking forward to that. So let's start by rising. We'll have a word of silent prayer. We'll just ask the Lord to be with us. So I'd like to invite you all to rise as we kneel for a word of silent prayer. Amen. Let us begin by singing a song. We'll sing a song. Which song? Good question. Do we have a favorite song, maybe? Seek Ye First. We can do Seek Ye First. And let's see if we can split into the two parts at some point. We're going to do Seek Ye First. Seek Ye First. It's not in the hymn book yet. So if you know it, you'll sing along. Amen. Let's kneel down for a word of prayer. I'd like to ask, Samuel, could you pray, please?
Lieber Gott, danke für den schönen Tag, danke für alles, was Sie haben und helfen armen Kindern und helfen gut auf den anderen Tag haben und danke für das Sabbat und danke für meine Familie und danke für meine Engel in Jesu Namen. Amen.
Thank you, Samuel. It's nice to hear different languages. All right, I'll hand it over to Tanya and we can get started.
Thank you very much, Daniela. Okay, there's a verse in the Bible. I want to see if someone can tell me where it's found. That says, but Jesus said, suffer the little children and forbid them not to come unto me, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. Does someone know where this verse is found? That's a great place to start, yes. Matthew, very good. Do we know the chapter and the verse? Oh, not quite. Almost there. Great memory we have then, isn't it? Okay. How about Matthew chapter 19 and verse 14? So today's program, it's a very short program, but it is one that Young People's is all about. And we have our children with us today, and they're going to present a short program for us. They would like to share with us what they had learned from the last quarter. Now, usually we would do this on the 13th Sabbath, but because 13th Sabbath, not many of our children were with us, so because this is the first Young People's that we have after the 13th Sabbath, we're going to get them to present to us what they've got to share with us this afternoon. So I'm going to start off with all the children are going to come up the front, and they're going to sing a song to start off.
And my class in the middle. Yep, you in front. Here, Levi, next to Sarah. Yep. No, stand up. You got to stand up. No, no. You need to stand up. Okay. Stella. She can stand. One's next. Sorry. Just hold that close to them. So they... You got your froggy on your log?
So this is a very special favourite of pretty much all our children in our Sabbath school class. So our Sabbath school class starts at 0 and goes to the age of 4. So they might get a bit shy, but we'll help them through it. Okay, really loud. Really loud. Is it on your froggy? Put your froggy on your hand. Ready? Old Mr. Frog sat sunning himself on an old wet log. He looks around with bulging eyes for tasty bugs and dragonflies. When one comes along, he grabs like a flash and he jumps in the pond with a great big splash. God made the frogs for us to see, to show his love for you and me. Amen. All right, put the froggies back in the box. All right, we're going to say our memory verse. Okay. Right, yeah, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Big voices. Come here, baby. Ready? Big voices with the memory verse. Levi, turn around. Okay. Come this way. Come here. Come. Ready? Come here.
I'm doing this one.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay, nice and loud, everybody.
Go.
Come, quick. No. Wait.
Ready?
Monica will hold
Say,
it. It's okay.
the Lord
The Lord
is my shepherd.
is
The Lord
What?
is my shepherd.
And
Okay, you want to say it?
yes. The Lord,
Is my shepherd.
the Lord is the
Lord is my shepherd.
Amen.
You say
Come, Sarah,
the
you want
Lord
to say it? Come.
is
You want to say
my
it? No?
shepherd. It's okay. Good job. And then they would just like to show you some crafts that they made.
No jumping.
You want to hold up your sheep? Yes, hold a sheep. Here we go. Hold a sheep. Kezia, do you want your sheep this one? Yeah? And Ruby?
Do you need this, Helena?
Okay, a sheep. Hold them up nice and low. And while they're holding up their sheep, the rest of the children have got one on its own. So the rest of the children can come forward. Yep. Come on, here, just quick. Stand up.
to summarize a little bit the lesson, we will tell you a couple of memory verses, and some of the older children, I mean most of them, will tell you a Bible story. They did a little craft, and they will talk about the little craft. And some of them don't have the craft, but they're still very happy to say a story. So who would like to start? Who would like to say the first memory verse?
Please, Samuel. Can I hold it for you? Say the memory verse first. Be sure.
Be sure your sin will find you out.
Let's say all of us the memory verses, and then one by one you will come up and you'll tell your story. Gabriel, you want to say your memory verse?
But my God shall supply all your need.
Amen. You don't want to say it? That's okay. Hannah?
Thou shalt not have other gods before me.
Amen. Zephaniah?
But my God shall supply all your need.
Amen. Now, can we sing another song, all of us? You don't want to say? You sure? You don't want to say memory verses? I know. It's okay, next time.
Moses climbed the mountain high. Moses climbed Mount Sinai. Moses climbed the mountain high to meet up there with God. All the people stayed down low. God said no, cannot go. Only Moses met with God. His face was all aglow. God let us smoke around that space, holy place, hide your face. Listen to the trumpet sound and be a holy race. God gave 10 commandments then, words of life, words for them. Holy law and covenant the Hebrews need to know. Moses climbed the mountain high. Moses climbed Mount Sinai. Moses climbed the mountain high to meet up there with God. All the people stayed down low. God said no, cannot go. Only Moses went with God. His face was all aglow. Moses moves around that space, holy place, hide your face. Listen to the trumpet sound and be a holy race. God gave 10 commandments then, words of life, words for them. Holy law and covenant the Hebrews need to know. Moses climbed the mountain high. Moses climbed Mount Sinai. Moses climbed the mountain high to meet up there with God. All the people stayed down low. God said no, cannot go. Only Moses went with God. His face was all aglow. Clouds and smoke surround that space, holy place, hide your face. Listen to the trumpet sound and be a holy race. God gave 10 commandments then, words of life, words for them. Holy law and covenant that Hebrews need to know. Bit too high.
come and sit down and you'll come up. You can listen to your friends how they tell their story. Would you like to start? No? Samuel, would you like to start? Okay. Just stay up there and I'll hold the mic.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm gonna tell you a story about a person that you need to guess. Who do you think it is?
After you tell them the story, they have to guess.
Starts with A. Okay.
It's a sad story.
Sad story. No. Bad.
He did something very bad that he knew he was not.
He did something very bad that he knew wasn't good.
Did he do it in secret?
Yes.
I think he will tell you the story, and then slowly, slowly, you might just understand what's all about.
So in the Israelite camp, they were fighting against Jericho, and nobody was allowed to go inside and take some stuff like jewelry out. And then when they conquered it, they went to Ai. And then they sent spies out. And the spies didn't see many soldiers. So they're like, oh, let's just send just a little army because they just have little soldiers. And then when they fought, they had more soldiers, like the Ai people had more soldiers than what they saw. So then Joshua went to God and said, I'm sorry, I forgot to pray. And then God said, no, it's a sinner in your camp. So then they cast a lot. So which tribe? It was the tribe of Judah.
Stop now. Anybody can guess who we're talking about? They cast a lot, and it was from the tribe of Judah. Anybody can have a guess?
Yep.
Yes. Beautiful. Okay.
So then they cast another lot. It was which family. And then they cast another lot, which house it was in the family. And then which person it was, and it was Achan.
What he did wrong?
He stole some silver, gold, and a beautiful coat under his tent. So then the Israelites said, you can't do that. So then they went to... No, they went somewhere. They went somewhere on a hill, and then they stoned him and his family to death.
Why was that? What did he do wrong?
He stole all the silver, well, not all, but some silver and gold and a beautiful coat.
Did he know specifically that he's not allowed to take anything?
Yes, he did. No.
Thank you, Samuel. Very good.
Now, who would like to be the next? Where are my boys? Hannah, would you like to be the next? Where are my boys? Yeah. Is Mommy here? Hannah, stand up there. probably have a sleep.
Come closer.
Yeah.
And you talk into the mic. Good girl. We're gonna
Well done.
Good afternoon, everybody. My story is about a donkey. So, Balaam the king reminded Balaam that if he would come and do something to the Israelites, then the king would give him money. And Balaam wanted money. So he asked God what to do, and then God said, stay home. And then Balaam asked God again, and God said again, stay home. And the next morning, Balaam went on his donkey, and then the donkey stopped. The donkey saw an angel. The donkey got scared. And then Balaam hit the donkey. And then the donkey said, why are you hitting me? So, the Lord Balaam wants and the angel talked to Balaam, and the donkey actually saw the angel and was listening, and Balaam wasn't, and he headed away for his journey. And he blessed the children of Israel. But later on he did some bad things and got them in trouble. And he died a terrible death.
Happy Sabbath, everyone. So my favorite artwork from last quarter is the breastplate. And it was worn by the high priest, which was Aaron, when he went to the sanctuary. And it had the 12 stones on it, and it represented the 12 tribes of Israel. And he had to wear the breastplate every time he went to the sanctuary. And close to his heart, and Jesus is our high priest, and he's wearing the breastplate close to his heart, and our names are on the breastplate.
So this song is all the books of the Bible. So this is how the children are learning to remember all the books of the Bible. They're very clever. They've learnt it better than the teachers have. So I hope you enjoy it.
Joshua, Judges, Ruth.
Happy Sabbath, everyone. The animal I chose from last quarter is the ant. The ant is one of the most hardest working insects in the world, and it only lives for 45 to 60 days and has no breaks or waste time. They share, and it communicates to each other by touching each other's antenna. It puts a trail called pheromones, which get other ants to follow. They eat mold and speed off, and a speed of 23 inches an hour. There are over 10,000 species of ants, and they build their homes 500 times their height. So I want all of us to be hardworking and sharing people like the ants. Thank you.
Are you ready? Where are you? There you are, Ben. Do you want to say something from what you learnt last quarter?
What do I do? We learned about plants and they grow. And yeah.
Miriam, thank you.
Last quarter we learned about each animal and their traits, and I chose the bald eagle. It is the king of birds. An eagle is known for its vigor, strength, courage, and proud independence. Bald eagles are among the largest and most powerful birds in the whole world. The eagle is 30 to 35 inches long from its back to tail and weighs about 8 to 13 pounds. Its wings stretch about 7 feet wide. Oops. Did you know that the eagle can see a rabbit from 2 miles away? Eagles are known for their great vision. They can see a tiny lizard on a rock at 1,000 feet below. They can also see the movement of a fish underwater. Bald eagles can see 4 to 7 times better than humans. Unlike our eyes, an eagle's eye can't move from side to side. To look around, the eagle has to turn its whole head. Eagles have a separate eyelid which slides across the eye sideways in order to keep the eye clean and free from dust as they fly. Eagles make their nest from tree limbs, and they line the outer edges with soft leaves and vines, and then they weave it together to make a big nest. On top of that, she puts bits and pieces of fur, moss, and feathers. Over the course of about 2 weeks, an eagle couple will build a 6 to 10 foot diameter nest. The largest nest was found in Florida, and it was 9 feet across and 20 feet deep. Shortly before the eggs hatch, Mother Eagle begins to pull her own fur from her body to shelter and warm the little eggs. She lays 1 to 3 white eggs in late spring or early summer. They hatch in 35 to 42 days. When the eaglet comes out of the nests, mother and father go out and find the food. They fly back to the nest, stand on the edge, and drop the food into the gaping mouths of the little eaglet. It's an unending process, as over and over again they fly back. The bald eagle chooses their mates for life. The female eagle has to test the male before they begin courtship. She flies down to the floor, picks up a twig, then goes to a high spot and drops it down, and the male will go fetch it and bring it to the female. The female will go higher, drop it again, and this game goes on for hours until the female thinks that she's ready. And then as she hovers a few feet above her nest and stretches her wings, the heads of 3 little eaglets pop above the nest. They scream and shriek and look upward toward Mother. Soon Mother perches on the side of the nest again, then launches upwards and hovers, then flaps her wings widely, then perches again, repeating these motions. At once, Mother Eagle disappears over the edge of the nest. The young eaglets are protesting as they watch Mother Eagle tear up their comfy nest and fling it to the ground below. Over the next hour, Mother Eagle will bring her fully feathered young out of the nest into the air, where they will learn how to fly. After Mother Eagle throws the leaves and soft feathers over the edge, she decides to take the sticks out of the middle of the nest. With her strong beak and talons, she breaks them off and stands them up straight. Mum, it's not comfortable here anymore, the little eaglets think. Then Mother takes out certain major sticks out of the nest and throws them over the edge. Mother Eagle is determined to let her little eaglets fly. Eagles are created to be free and soar at great heights, but they have to be taught to fly. They are not meant to stay in the nest, or they will never learn to fly. If they are separated from their parents at birth, they will end up like chickens. The eaglets are 10 to 12 weeks old when they are ready for the first flying lessons. God often disturbs our nest. Our nest may be our comfortable home, nice family, or friends, or the church we've been attending for a long time. Maybe we have to move and leave our family and friends behind. Perhaps someone we love gets sick or even dies. Perhaps our family has little money. Whatever it is, we can thank God for our trials He allows to come our way, because it is for our good. Mother Eagle spreads her wings to full span, as if to tell the chicks, look up, pay attention. She again flies to the nest's rim, which is 5,000 to 8,000 feet above the ground. She puts her head up against one of the little chicklets and pushes it closer to the edge of the nest. Then she pushes her baby off the edge and lets it fall until it's like a couple feet from the earth. And then she goes down and picks him up off the floor and then carries it back to the top, and then she begins to do it with all the other ones. What a beautiful picture of how God comes to our rescue when we are in the middle of some terrible trial. Just when we think there is no hope, He comes to the rescue and carries us on His wings until we are safe again. Most animals are able to sense the storm as it is coming by smell, and others by sight. They will scurry to find shelter, but the eagle does not fear from a storm, for he can see it approaching from a distance because of his great sight. He will remain in his habitat until the first few drops of rain begin to fall. Then it will launch into flight and begin to ascend in a spiral manner, upward and upward and upward, until it has broken the oak of the storm and found its way to the sunlight above the storm. And then, with her precious eaglet on her back, Mother Eagle begins to make a circling spiral, fling back up the wide open canyon. She will put her eaglets back onto the nest, and then the flying lessons will be kept on going until they can fly. A bald eagle can reach the speed of up to 200 miles, which is 322 kilometers per hour, when diving through the air to grab a meal. An eagle does not fly like other birds. Instead of flapping their wings, they soar. If they flap their wings, they would use an incredible amounts of energy and would require much food as fuel than if they did not soar. And then
Lessons from the eagle. Thank you. Caleb.
The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Proverbs 12:24. Lightning flashed, thunder boomed. The storm was growing worse. A family of beavers was resting in their warm, dry den, waiting for the storm to pass. The wind and thunder did not bother them, but suddenly they heard one faint sound in the midst of the storm. Water was trickling over their dam. They knew that even the smallest leak could grow as large as to wash away their entire dam. They wouldn't allow that to happen, for they had spent many years building their dam in the middle of the lake. One by one, the beavers left their den through the only underwater entrance. 5 little noses came to the surface to check out the damage. They saw a small hole with water pouring out the side. 3 of the beavers swam to the bottom of the lake, each grabbing a branch. With their mouths, they took these back toward the dam. Their little feet paddled as fast as they could to fix the leak, which grew larger every second. The beavers became tired, but the storm grew worse. But as long as there was a leak, they wouldn't stop working. Beavers are diligent engineers and contractors. They take down trees, they place logs in the water, then interweave them with sticks to make a building. With their hands, they pack mud on the outside of their lodge home for insulation. The structure they make can withhold a great amount of pressure. Beavers are constantly building, maintaining, or working for the future and caring for their family. Even after they have made their dam and lodge, parent beavers will build additional dams and lodges for future generations. They build canals so they can reach their food away from their pond. The water serves to protect them from predators. Beavers can float heavy logs back to their pond instead of dragging them over land. In the fall, they store limbs and branches underwater to use as food in the winter. In some ways, beavers display positive traits like humans. They live as a family and have a complex communication system. They build homes, store food, and create transportation networks with ponds and canals. It is believed that they mate for life. Beavers are good parents, and both mother and father take an active role in raising their children, called kits. They normally have two to 4 kits at a time. The young stay with their parents for 2 years. Beavers are diligent workers. They have a strong sense of purpose and are persevering in their work. The storm was still raging. 3 of the beavers swung tree branches on top of the hole to slow the water. The other 2 swam to the bottom of the lake and dug up more mud and carried it back to the dam. One by one, they plastered the leak with mud. The water stopped, but soon another leak came up. The beavers swam to the bottom and pulled up more sticks, placed them over the leaks, and covered them with mud. Beavers usually work only at night and rest during the day, but today they worked overtime. When they ran out of sticks, they swam to the shore, picked up the limbs scattered on the ground, and took them to the leaky dam. They covered the holes with more mud. The oldest beaver stood next to a large tree near the water's edge and began chiseling away at the bark with sharp front teeth.
Soon another beaver joined him. The beavers balanced themselves with their large, flat tails, chewing a V-shaped notch out of one side of the tree. The wind swayed from the tree from side to side. The oldest beaver took a few more bites and slapped a warning with his tail. Wham, wham, wham. The tree fell right beside the dam. Water splashed everywhere. In spite of the diligence of the beavers, the sound of running water grew louder. One of the leaks became a major hole, threatening to wash out the whole dam. With the last bit of energy, the youngest beaver chewed its way through another tree limb. Grabbing the branch with its teeth, it swam underwater with the branch toward the leak. The water current ripped the limb out of the beaver's mouth and pinned it across the hole. Now the beaver dove to the bottom of the pond and scooped up as much mud as it could carry. The little beaver was cold, wet, and tired. But as long as there was work to do, it wouldn't stop. The beaver plastered the leak with mud and swam back to the bottom of the lake for more. It did that 4 times. Finally, on the 5th trip, the beaver came to the surface to breathe. It waited and listened. 1 minute, 2 minutes passed. All was perfectly silent. The dam stood firm. The beaver's work was finished. At last the beavers swam back into their warm, dry den. They shook off the water from their fur and cleaned the mud from their paws and laid to rest. Beavers are the largest of the rodent family in North America. They weigh about 50 to 55 pounds, which is about 25 to 28 kilos, and live from 10 to 20 years. They have large webbed hind feet, which they use for swimming. Their front hands are nearly as useful as ours. They use their flat tail for balance when sitting up and chewing on trees, for a rudder when in the water, and for slapping the water when they feel threatened. As we can see, the beavers are very diligent. What can we learn from the beaver? We should be diligent and orderly and not stop working until the job is done. And we should not be slothful and tardy. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. And last from this class is Angelina.
Good afternoon, everybody. Last quarter, every week we learned about a different trait and we compared it to an animal. And I chose obedience, and the animal was the deer. So this animal, well, the deer, inhabits all the continents of the world except Antarctica. Usually this graceful creature would browse among the tender new shoots of grass for a meal. But today, the female was not interested in food. When the morning passed, she quietly slipped away to a scheduled spot where she would give birth to her first fawn. The birth was over in 10 minutes. Soon after, Mother was licking the small white-spotted fawn. By instinct, almost as soon as it is born, the fawn is able to comprehend the signals of its mother. Hardly an hour old, the newborn crouches low to the earth in obedience to a light tap on its shoulder from Mother's hoof. She has seen possible danger, and so she warned her young one to hide itself. The young one obeyed. For the next 3 days, the fawn stayed practically motionless, with its legs folded underneath its body and its head pressed flat against the ground. Its spotted body blended in with the background. The fawn had no odor to betray its location, so its enemy cannot smell it. A predator could walk right by it and would not notice it if the fawn remained perfectly still. What does the deer eat? The baby deer drinks milk from its mother for 4 months. The white-tailed deer is a plant eater. It eats mushrooms and goldenrod in the summer. It also breaks off twigs of maple, yellow and white birch, willow, black cherry, juniper, white cedar, aspen and oak trees, and chomps up twigs with its 24 grinding teeth. Deer love to eat oak acorns and gorge themselves on these nuts in early fall. The fawn grew rapidly and was eager to wander away from its mother. Mother had to deal with this dangerous habit immediately, before the fawn's life was in danger. In no uncertain terms, she made it very clear that when hidden, it must stay there. Every time it was disobedient, Mother pressed it back with its muzzle. If the fawn still didn't obey, she would raise her forefoot, place it on the fawn's back, and forcefully press it to the ground. In spite of Mother's firm discipline, the young fawn still continued to wander at times. One day, the fawn saw a butterfly and it stood up to investigate. It tried to chase it, but the butterfly flew out of sight. Suddenly, the fawn became fearful. Just a few yards away, it saw a hungry coyote on a prowl for food. Now it was too late for Mother to come and help. The fawn ran as fast as it could, but the quick and powerful coyote caught up with it. With a few well-paced strides, the coyote lunged at the defenseless fawn. One powerful snap of its jaws and the fawn was dead. This young fawn had needlessly lost its life because it failed to obey Mother's instructions. Obedience to its mother's instructions would have saved the fawn's life, but the young deer had failed to learn two important lessons. First, it needed to be invisible as long as its weak legs were no match for the swift coyote. The second lesson the fawn failed to learn was that it always had to be alert to danger. Had it seen the coyote first, it could have cautiously dropped to the ground, blending with its surroundings and thus preventing the coyote from seeing it. What is special about the deer's eyes? Deer have the ability to focus on nearby and distant objects at the same time. This is a great benefit to them as it helps them concentrate on what they are eating and at the same time to keep a watchful eye on predators. Because their eyes are set high and spread wide apart, the deer can see almost completely around itself. They have a 310-degree vision at any given time. A deer's eyes are extremely sensitive to motion. This helps them to pick up any movement and find potential predators. White-tailed deer see very well in low light and under the cover of darkness. Did you know that more than 300 white spots cover the body of the fawn? They are designed to blend with the spots of the light that filter through the leaves to the floor. The speckled coats of the young deer conceal him from predators. When there is danger, fawn freeze in place and remain motionless for many minutes. In addition to its speckled coat, a fawn less than a week old has no odor to betray its location. Dogs have been observed to jump over a fawn without detecting them. With the combination of spotted fur, lack of scent, and its ability to remain still, fawns are able to survive their first few weeks of life. Mother deer conceals its young in a scheduled spot but returns 6 or 7 times each day to feed it. In this way, she ensures that her own scent will not endanger the fawn by attracting enemies. Thank you for listening, and the lesson from this is to always listen and obey your parents.
Thank you, Angelina. So that concludes the 3 younger children's classes. So we had your 3 different lessons I'm sure you've all picked up. So our little children learned last quarter about the life of Jesus, so his birth, and a few of the parables. the middle children, from what I understand, learnt about Moses and Joshua. Is that right? And I think, I'm not sure what they're continuing on. And the older ones had lessons from nature. So I'd like to invite all the children forward. We've got one more song. And then I'll get Tanya to come and introduce her class.
Thank you very much to the Tiny Tots and their teacher, Children's Treasures and their teacher also, and as well as the Junior Searcher class and their teacher. Thank you for your presentations and the time that you took out to prepare yourselves. That was very lovely. We do have a Youth Explorer class for those that kind of forgot or maybe don't know. And we have two young lads that are in this class. And I'm going to call Ivan and Hayden forward, and they're going to share a short presentation for what they've learnt last quarter.
Happy Sabbath, everyone. Hayden, did you hear that? Happy Sabbath, everyone. That's more like it. Did we all enjoy lunch? Yes? Who's tired? Yeah? All tired? Well, since you're tired, let us stand up. Stretch. Stand up. Stretch. Please take a seat. Okay. So, me and Hayden are going to go through last quarter's lesson, the Youth Explorers lesson, and it's entitled A Little Bit of Heaven. Okay, so who here wants to taste a little bit of heaven? Yes, I'm pretty sure everyone would like to taste a bit of heaven. So here's what we need to be able to taste a bit of heaven. The well-being of society, the success of the church, prosperity of the nation. Now, these are some examples of what we need to have in our families. So let us now talk about where the change begins. So before a man builds his house, what does he first need to look at? Yes, Daniela, what did you say? The foundation, that's correct. In order to have the house firm, you need to have a good foundation. That's the same with the family. In order to have a good, happy family, We need to have a good foundation. That foundation is Jesus Christ. We need to center Jesus in our families. The home is where the home is the place where we show our true character. Also, Jesus needs to be the foundation of the family, as I said. And we need to show love towards each other. Showing love towards each other. How can we show love of God out in the world today? It can be through our actions, through our words, through our character. The love of Christ motivates our courtesy and kindness to one another, and also relates to the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now, topic, let's talk about it. Here, everybody has been given the gift of communication, whether it be face-to-face, texting or typing, or your facial expressions, your hands, and heaps of many others. But once we recognize that we have these gifts of communication, we need to tell others about the love of Christ. So we need to speak cheerful and pleasant words. Show others that you care about them. Be consistent, love one another all the time, and speak respectfully to our parents. Who's in charge here? Children. Who's in charge of you? Children, who's in charge of you? Yep, the parents. Parents can be in charge of you. So children must obey their parents. You know, God says, if the children do not obey their parents, He won't accept them into heaven. Isn't that right? Does everybody agree? Yeah? So children, it's very important for us to listen to our parents. Also, parents shouldn't spoil their children too much. Why is that? Yes, you know, giving the children what they want, you know, they wouldn't listen. They'll disobey their parents, not listen. And authority is good too. You know, God challenges us to keep our homes clean, also inside our hearts. We must keep everything clean and in an orderly fashion. Order is not just one thing. Order is being punctual. Order is attending regularly. Order is being clean and neat. You know, so we come to church. Do we come to church dirty? No, we don't come to church dirty. We come to church clean. And also, order is being reverent. Being part of a team. Now, working together as a family. Apostle Paul says that teamwork in a family, we need to work as one. We need to cooperate. We need to unite together and have humility. Hey?
Dressing for the king. So the way we dress tells others of our characters. So we must wear clothing that is appropriate and that shows the character of Jesus, which is not offensive but shows the characters of Jesus, which is love, peace, and all the fruits. Look at the lilies. God cares about what we wear. Instead of worrying about worldly fashions, we should worry about the Lord's coming. It's okay to buy clothing, but we should be more worried about studying the Word of God. A hospital or hospitality center. Our homes are places where we should feel cared for, comfortable, and relaxed. Our churches should be like our second homes. We should feel cared for and comfortable and relaxed, and go to church to get our spiritual lives fixed. But it's broken. Lots of families are broken in the world today. We need to show love and compassion to these families and tell them that Christ loves them. We should not judge families because of what they wear or what their houses look like, because we don't know what's happening in the inside. managing your 2 cents. People often say, I work so hard for my money, but it's not really our money. It's God's money. He gives us energy and life to work. So we must be very grateful to our loving Savior who protects us and cares for us. My God and I, we must show reverence all the time, especially for our holy God at the home, in God's worship, and in the place of worship. In church, we must be quiet, and even at our homes, we must show reverence because God and the angels are there. A day of delight. The Sabbath should be a day we should look forward in the week. Who here enjoys coming to church? And we should enjoy the fellowship of our brothers and sisters and enjoy God's creation because He's made a wonderful creation for us. As a family, we can be a good example to others around us and remember to bring people to the Visitor Sabbath on the 27th and the Family Fun Day on the 28th this month.
So also, our teacher has challenged us to memorize the 13 memory verses. And since the kids have done it, us older people, used to can do it too. That time will come, that famine will come. Not the famine for food, not the famine for water, famine for what? The Word of God. So I encourage you all to learn our memory verse. So give to Hayden too.
Okay, I'll start with my first one. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. And his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Isaiah 9 verse 6. And my next one is, finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous. 1 Peter 3 verse 8. And my next one is, let your speech be, let your speech be, let your, I'll just do the next one. Okay. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Ephesians 6 verse 1. Next one is, honor thy father and thy mother, for thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Exodus 20 verse 12. And then the one that I messed up before, let thy speech be filled with grace and seasoned with salt, that ye know how ye may know how ye ought to answer every man. Colossians 4 verse 6.
I will greatly rejoice in the Lord. My soul shall be joyful in my God, for he has clothed me with the garment of salvation, for he hath covered me with the robe of righteousness. As a bridegroom decketh himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorneth herself with her jewels. Isaiah 61 verse 10. And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you, that even Solomon was not arrayed like one of these. Matthew chapter 6 verse 28 and 29. Finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another. Love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous. Not rendering evil for evil, nor railing for railing, but contrariwise blessing, that ye may, knowing that ye should inherit a blessing. Knowing that ye should inherit a blessing. 1 Peter 3 verse 8 and 9. The thief cometh not but to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I am come to give life, and that they might. Sorry, forgot the words. Do the next one. For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, though he was rich, yet for our sakes he became poor, that ye through his poverty might be rich. 2 Corinthians 8 verse 9. God is greatly to be feared in the assembly of the saints, and to be in reverence of all them that are about him. Psalms 89 verse 7. Delight thyself in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy ways unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Psalms 37, 4 and 5. Amen.
Thank you very much to the Youth Explorer class. I know that they were very nervous to the point that they wouldn't come up to have lunch today, spending a lot of time just trying to organise themselves. So very well done. I'm very pleased with what she's presented this afternoon. And we can see that these young people, we already see that we've probably got ourselves some future preachers here. So thank you very much to all our children and to all the teachers for your hard work throughout the last quarter, and for all that the children have learned so far. This is all the honour and glory be given to the Lord, for these are the next generation that will be used, their hands and feet for God's work. That brings us to the end of our presentation, or our young people's meeting this afternoon. And I'd like to call, let me see, well, we've got the two girls and Zephaniah up here. We can collect our free will offering. And then to close our meeting this afternoon, we'll sing hymn number 631. It's a children's type hymn, so if we could all prepare ourselves for that. 631, we'll collect our offering for now.